Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to share about my recent ayahuasca experience. I've drank ayahuasca, I don't know, maybe up to 50 times. I've been involved with running retreats for the last 6 or so years. I've had the privilege of drinking with some really amazing medicine people, shamans. And I know a lot of people these days are curious about ayahuasca. You might hear a lot of mixed perspectives on it. Some say it's dangerous and bad, and other people say it completely changed their life and everything in between. And what I want to share today is just one perspective, because one thing I can say with confidence, and there's very little I can say about ayahuasca with confidence, but the one thing I can say is that it is experienced very differently for the individual. But it's something that I felt drawn to at some point. It kind of fell into my lap synchronistically, and I'm very grateful for that because it's assisted me on my journey of transformation. It's assisted me in my life. It's assisted and helped me become a better father, a better husband, a better friend to myself. It's made a true difference in my lives and also the lives of those who I love around me. And I feel I almost like I wanna sing the praises of ayahuasca a little bit for anybody out there who is curious. So I drank recently in Costa Rica. I'm a part of these retreats. I help organize them and run them. I don't pour the medicine. That's not my role, but I promote it on my YouTube channel and things like that. And my wife and I, my friend Aaron Dowdy, for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been running these retreats in Costa Rica. This was, I think, our 14th one. And for a while there, because I was running the retreats, I wouldn't drink the medicine each of the nights. I'd drink a small amount because I had a retreat to run. That was what I told myself, anyways. But this time, I had this strong desire, or natural desire, to like go all in. And we drink 3 nights in a row. The first 2 nights are kind of like a half night, and the third night is an all night ceremony. So it's a lot of ayahuasca in 3 days. And I went and I took as much as the shaman decided to give me each and every time, and every night I had a very, very powerful experience. And what I'm going to do now is share a little bit about each of the nights, just to kind of give you an idea. Again, this is different for everybody, but to give you an idea of some of the things one can heal, change, let go of, become aware of, and how that might translate into your life and giving you clarity about like who you are, what you value, your purpose. Those last 3 nights, it kind of did a lot of that. And I don't see a lot of people sharing so candidly about their experiences. And I just feel sort of called to do it. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to tag along, and I'll give you a little run through, again, in a very casual way, of my recent week in Costa Rica. So night one, cup one, I went up, I drank the cup, and felt very little. It's very common, just so you know, for a person not to feel anything from their first cup or even two of ayahuasca. Doesn't mean it's not strong, trust me. It just is this interesting thing that can happen, honestly, where like maybe like at our retreat, for example, maybe a third of the people won't feel anything their first cup. And a lot of times that's the message, that's the lesson, because you get to see how you react to that. Came all this way, spent all this money, took the plunge into the unknown, drank this difficult to take down cup of medicine, and after all that, nothing. I feel stone cold sober. You're looking for it. And then sometimes you can become kind of frustrated, like, you get mad. You hear someone throwing up. You're like, okay, other people are feeling it. Why not me? Why not me? And then you go through feelings of being left out, feelings of not being good enough. All this can happen from not feeling the medicine. But anyway, without going off on a tangent, that was my experience. Although I've learned that that is also an experience. Having no visual or somatic experience is often one of the ways ayahuasca can teach you. So I remain patient, unlike before, where I would have gone down those different rabbit holes. And I had this feeling that it's there, but it just hasn't digested. So when I went up for my second cup and the shaman said, "Did you feel it?" I made sure to clarify. I said, "No, but I'm not necessarily asking for a massive dose because I think it's still there." I've learned before if I roll up there impatiently and say, "No, nothing, load me up," sometimes that second cup can digest the first cup and you blast off in a way you weren't really wanting. So I kind of explained myself, and she gave me a nice sized cup. And sure enough, as I suspected, I went back to my little seat and I could feel the effects coming up. And it came on with an intensity, which for me, oftentimes, it's I can notice like a visual change, almost like if you've taken mushrooms or something, it becomes kind of like things become kind of trippy looking, you might say. Um, but what I know it when I really know it's coming on and I'm about to go on kind of a journey, I will feel my stomach kind of rumbly. And I can almost feel the ayahuasca digesting and then kind of like wave through my body. So there's like a somatic wave of energy that comes kind of like emanates through my body paired with like the visual component. And that's when I know it's like it's on. Something's happening. The medicine, the spirit of the medicine is coming in and she's going to be doing something with me basically. And because it's been a while for me, it had been a year since I drank. I was a little bit nervous, thinking, "Oh boy, okay, you'll be fine," kind of coaching myself through it because you never know how it's going to unfold. And as I was sitting there, kind of anticipating what was next, it was weird. I felt almost like my middle son Lucas came to mind, but I felt him in my core. I felt how like my children, and then all three of mine came to mind, that they're not just these people in my life, they're literally a part of me. I just felt it. And I felt such love and appreciation for them being in my life. And it was such a real, organic, no strings attached, not like unconditional love I felt. And then that kind of turned into like an unconditional love in general. So it was a very pleasant second cup. And I just felt grateful to be there. I felt love for my family. I felt I have such a deep respect and genuine love and reverence for the medicine people who we work with because I've drank in quite a few different types of traditions and ceremonies over the years, and not to say anything negative about any of them, but I had some experiences in other places that I don't want to use the word traumatic, but where I didn't. It was like it. I'm trying not to like be judgmental at all, and I'm not. The way I would put it is that I developed a fear of the medicine because of whatever reason, the context, the space, whatever. I had kind of like an overly intense reaction that I was unable to handle and didn't know what to do, and it left me very gun shy and kind of afraid of what can be a very powerful experience with the ayahuasca. But anyways, I was sitting there and I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about how much I trust these people. I've drank with them mostly, like most of my drinking career had been with the people I was with that night. And I just looked around and kind of was watching them and I just felt so safe. I felt so grateful to where I knew, even if it becomes intense, I knew I was good. And I felt grateful for that. And it was just a very uplifting and positive experience. But then what began happening is the words of the medicine man started to kind of play out in my journey a little bit. And what he was saying was that don't go looking for it, the experience. Whatever you think it will be, it's not that. Even while it's happening, whatever you say it is in your head, oh, this is that, this means that, this must be what this is, that's not it. And anyway, he was just saying that. But I found myself in my journey, like observing how my mind is constantly trying to do that, trying to know, trying to label, trying to figure out, saying, oh, this is what this all is. This is what this represents. And I saw just how incessant it is, the human mind. And I saw directly how this blocks the experience of like really being present with the love in life. There's like a bliss, there's like this joy and love underneath like the material world, and especially underneath our thinking. And I saw directly, like I would feel it, and then I would say, "Oh, this is what it means," and I would like go away, and I would catch myself, and I would stop, and it would happen again, and then I would label it, and it was just me kind of observing and being trained almost. It felt like how to just stay present, and the more I was staying present, the more like healing and energetic upliftment I felt. I felt like this and dense energy just kind of being lifted from my body. And again, the moment I would try to understand it or think, oh, this is from childhood, it would stop. So I just was present, felt in love with everything, and experienced this like effortless healing. It's amazing. I loved it. Night one was beautiful. Before I move into night two, I want to say, and this is true, a lot of times like the medicine, your transformation, it's not just about being in ceremony with the effects of the medicine. Once you drink it, and even before you drink it, it's with you, navigating you, taking you through various things. So anyways, in spite of my amazing night, that night, me and my wife Patty got into an argument. And I was certain when I went to bed, it was all her fault. I was sure that she was in the wrong, and we both went to bed angry. It's common. Relationship stuff comes up when you drink medicine. Sometimes it definitely does for me and Patty. So I went to bed angry, and she went to bed angry, and it was just this unfortunate thing. And I was really certain I was in the right. Anyways, that all kind of faded away. We woke up, and it was fine. And I went into my second night, knowing that many times the second night is like the deeper night, just how I've experienced it and observed with our retreats in particular. The first night is more about establishing trust and getting people to get a feel for it. The second night is like the deepening, you might say. And that first cup I had was way bigger than the other ones. And I've gotten to a point where I go up and I trust the medicine person so well, this beautiful woman, that after like 30 ceremonies with them, I don't try to control how much I want. I just say like, I just take the cup normally. She gave me this massive cup, and right then and there, I was like, uh-oh, what's this mean? What do I have in store for me now? It was like twice the size of the previous night, you know? And sure enough, I went back and I felt it immediately, and it was very strong and very intense. But once again, it was very positive. It was more about me just kind of like remembering that I'm able to like navigate the intensity. You know, I had very, very strong visuals, and these waves of feelings and energy were coming on. And my entire experience was being heavily influenced by the music, which is often the case. So it felt like I was being kind of taken for a ride. But I was able to kind of like witness how I am now in that intensity. And I was like able to remain fairly stoic. And there was not a ton of insights that I can recall in this moment. It was more about just navigating the intensity, essentially, which is also good for life, of course, because life can become intense. And I wasn't reactive. I wasn't resisting. I wasn't like looking outside of myself for help. I was just with it, like a more very stoic. And it was very empowering. I felt really good about myself, the way I handled it. So when I went up for the second cup, she's like, "Did you feel it?" And I was like, "Yes." I wanted to be very clear. I felt it a lot. So I said that deep down, hoping I get a smaller cup because I could tell it wasn't over. And it was another massive cup. And I thought, oh my God. And I was genuinely kind of afraid for a moment there because it was just another big old cup. And as I expected, I felt it right away, man. It's like it digested the remainder of the first cup, and the second cup was coming on. And it was like the intensity came to a whole new level. And for me, when that happens, I know I have kind of a short window where I can go use the restroom before it's going to become uncomfortable to kind of get up and move around. And I remember thinking this and still like debating whether could even get up at that point. And I was like, I know now is the time, but God, I already feel like I can't get up as it is. And I debated for like 5 minutes whether I should go to the bathroom or not. And finally I did. I went to the bathroom and actually threw up a little bit. which I don't often do. And I was thankful because I in my mind, I thought maybe this would cut down the intensity a little bit. Maybe it was kind of a little bit of a bit of mercy from Mother Ayahuasca. And then I came back to the mattress. And then I had to go again. I felt nauseous again. And then I was in my head about like going to the bathroom too many times and being like this spectacle going back and forth. So I just chose to kind of stay put. Then what happened is something that's happened before with me on ayahuasca. It's where I just remember certain things I've done or said and see it all of a sudden in this other light, more aware of like the implications it may have had. For example, someone who was with us, a friend of ours who was drinking ayahuasca for the first time, she was talking to me and she was telling me about how she felt kind of funny going back and forth into the bathroom. And then I kind of made a joke about it. I was like, yeah, sometimes it's quiet and you just throw up and it's loud. And it was very crass the way I was being in retrospect. At the time, I thought I was just playing around. I didn't mean anything by it. But on the medicine, I saw how just like insensitive and crass it was. And then here I was in that exact same position, now knowing exactly how she felt, thinking like, man, I'm gonna have to say something to her because I felt bad as this is all happening to me. And that became the theme for the while. I also started to see how the fight with my wife the other night was my fault. And it just expanded into this remarkably uncomfortable, humbling dose of reality about how I have no right to judge anybody because I was just seeing how my shadow and my own unconsciousness was so there still and how it was affecting my wife. I was able to literally feel how she feels bearing the brunt of my unconscious lashings that I was so quick to judge her for. And it was like one thing after the other. It was a very, I call it a big like slice of humble pie. It was like I felt horrible about myself. I felt like a monster is what I said. I felt like just this horrible, horrible human being. And I was just so disgusted with myself. And I felt so sorry. I wanted to run up to her right then and there and just give her a hug and tell her I'm sorry, but I couldn't. She was over in the mat just crying, which was just so perfect for like amplifying this powerful experience, this peak experience of just seeing the folly in my ways and having to look at it and feel it. And then it's so amazing how the playlist is with these people who pour the medicine. Because then the very next song was all about shame and how nobody's perfect and how it doesn't serve us to berate ourselves and to beat ourselves up and to punish ourselves because everybody's doing their best. And it kind of lifted me out of what was turning into me like punishing myself. And it's like, yeah, I need to be aware of that. Yes, now I can make some changes, and I have since then. But also, I don't need to beat myself up. It's not necessary. I need to see it, the truth, the reality. I need to make the change, or at least I should make the change. But beyond that point, it doesn't make sense to beat ourselves up. And that set me off on this whole trail of profound insights into the many ways in which I punish myself and continue to hold myself accountable for things and mistakes I've made in the past. And it was this, it was this like beautiful, inclusive experience of becoming like super mega aware of unconsciousness I wasn't aware of, and also being able to forgive myself for it and also for the past and move forward in a way that's willing to look at myself, but not needing to harm myself in the way I can, just with the way I talk to myself, the feelings I have towards myself, all of that felt like it was also brought to my awareness in a similar fashion, but released from my body. I could feel that pattern, that tendency, that energy literally leaving my body. And that brought me into like this beautiful place of what felt like a deeper understanding of what it really means to be compassionate to others and to myself. It felt like I was shown like never to judge anybody, including yourself. And that brought forth this like the state of just love and peace and connectedness and just like I felt like I just loved everybody. I was able to love people more. I was able to feel genuine compassion in a way that previously was like more like a superficial thing in my head. This is like more of an embodiment of compassion and patience. And it felt so good. It felt so worth it. I was so grateful to go through that long, painful journey to get to that place. And then from there, I explored themes of rest and balance. In fact, there was this one song that came on that it was interesting because it felt like almost like NLP and trying to reprogram people, and with a very good message. It was this. It was whatever expectation, I will do my best. But if I feel I need it, I will choose to rest. And it just kept going over and over and over and over again. And it just showed me just how much I overexert, how I will ignore the signals of my body, how I set my sights beyond what is possible and sustainable to my own detriment sometimes. So it was a very good, like, little mini theme of just rest and balance and output and mindfulness and compassion and trust and trust that I don't need to go beyond what is healthy for me in order to thrive in life. It really like demonstrated that for me. Another theme I went into was with my daughter. My daughter's 17 now. And, if you have any of you have 17-year-old, 18-year-old, you know that it's an interesting part of a parent's life because it's like the last little sliver of influence you have on them, at least in the way that you used to. And I was shown that I really can't control her anymore, and nor should I. And it was scary to me to think about that. Like she's on her own there, and I have no choice but to let go and to kind of just see what happens with someone I love so, so, so deeply. And it was like this very difficult thing to accept. But then I was reminded of how my daughter is also a spirit, a very strong spirit at that. I was reminded of like just who she is as a soul. Even from a very, very young age, she would stare at you with these like just this piercing look of just like old soul wisdom she is. And she's always just been so self-aware. She's always been just so strong, super strong-willed, sometimes difficult to parent, but I respect it. And anyway, I was like shown like she's got this. She's done this a gazillion times before. You don't have to control anything. She, like you, is a spirit. She, like you, is connected to something greater. And she possesses a wisdom that I don't even have, but I long for to have maybe one day. She has it now. And it was just this reminder of like why it makes sense, why it's safe to let go. And anyway, as the ceremony was beginning to kind of wind down and the shamans started playing their live music, they're such awesome musicians. I just felt like I felt more connected to my truth. I felt more patient. I felt more like just having unconditional love for everybody. And just I felt like some of my concerns, like my own practical concerns, were like addressed and resolved. And it was truly amazing how much ground I was able to cover in just one night of transformation. And many of these things, and even there's way more to it, but I don't want to go into all these details. Many of these things I was literally stuck with and ruminating about night after night for the last year of my life, all brought to this amazing resolve in one half of a night of ceremony. And going into the third night, I was a little concerned only because I had slept so little. This was the first time I was as involved in the retreat in a while. And when you run a retreat, what happens to me and pretty much other people I talk to as well, you are like fueled with this spirit energy, I would say. And it's good, you need it, but it makes it very hard to sleep. And the last two nights in a row, I had slept like 2 hours. And then we had this all-night ceremony. So like, midday, I was feeling like very just tired. And, I had to stay up to like 11 p.m. just to like go to ceremony to like not sleep at all. I knew I wasn't going to sleep even a wink. And I was really just like concerned, like, because I still had other stuff to do the next day after the retreat. And I was just thinking, like, how the hell am I going to do? How is this going to work? I felt like I was getting kind of like almost delirious, like super, super sleepy. Um, and yet, what I did is I went there and I remember that song, like, if I feel I need it, I will choose to rest. So I drank my first cup, and while I normally like to sit up the whole time, which to my defense, I lean against a pole. It's hard for other people if there's no pole, but nonetheless, I like to sit up most of the time for the ceremony. I made like an executive decision in the moment to like just lay down. I knew this is my only chance to get maybe some sleep is right after that first cup before it comes on. So I went and I laid down and I didn't sleep, but I rested. And after about 45 minutes, I didn't feel super energized necessarily, but I didn't want to miss it. I knew, like, you know what, you're sleepy, bro, but pretty soon this is going to be over and you're going to be back in your life and you're going to regret just sleeping through this extremely beautiful experience. Just looking up, like, just real quick to give you a visual, there's like this beautiful altar that they create in the middle of this space under this maloca in Nosara, Costa Rica, with like mountains and nature surrounding us. And then right before me are like the two medicine people, a husband and wife and their crew. Um, and like there's candles lit, there's the altar, and I just look around sometime and see all the people who came because they trusted me to be a part of the ceremony. And just seeing people like transforming and going deep. It's like we're all in it together. So, anyways, I was like, I don't want to miss this, just feeling sleepy. So I stood up, I kind of sat up to kind of just be a part of it. And sure enough, the medicine came on for me. And it was strong again, and it took me through various themes and healings and lessons, just like the other two nights. But I felt so energized, and I felt surprised at how good I felt. I feel like I slept like 10 hours. I feel amazing, and it's like 3 in the morning, and I've accumulated like 4 hours of sleep in the last like 72 hours, and somehow I feel fantastic. And I was just like, I was like shown like when you do this kind of work, the medicine and the retreat and the people can kind of give you wings, and I can rest later. So I was just happy to be a part of the ceremony at that point. And the third night is where I finally started going into kind of like my life direction questions. Where am I going to take my business? What's coming next? How do I resolve this thing? I felt like I've been in this sort of transition in my business and my career for a long time. And things were kind of thriving and like expanding for about 8 years straight. Year after year, it was like better and better and better. And things were like, growing and it's healthy. And then all of a sudden it's like, I just knew I was going through like this fundamental shift where all of what I've been kind of involved with is no longer resonant and it's time to kind of move on. But I didn't know what. I had my ideas, but I remained in this sort of limbo for like a year. And it was very stressful for me. So anyway, that started to kind of come up for me. And what came up initially was just there was a song in particular about spirit. And I remember like feeling in my body like almost like the medicine showing me like this is what it feels, this is what your spirit feels like. And it was reassuring. So I was like, oh, that feel this all the time. And it was like, it's because it's always with you. Your spirit, the will to keep going, the will to stand up once again, the will to stay strong. It's like, I have that. I have that. I don't need to control the externals because I have that willingness to keep going. And then what happened was it kind of like took a turn. And I was shown how I can abuse that spirit sometimes. Oftentimes I'll squeeze out of it creativity and ideas that it's like I fatigue that part of myself a lot. Even for a while, up until recently, I was filming and putting out 3 YouTube videos a week. And it just became so creatively exhausting. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a few videos a week. It's not a big deal, on paper, time-wise and things like that. But it was like to come up with the ideas and to express it with passion. I was shown how I really can take that to the limits. And it's like my spirit's like, chill out, bro. You don't have to do that. So that kind of came up, this abusive spirit. And then it showed me certain parts of my business that were just no longer in alignment. And I kind of knew this and was holding on, trying to make it work for the last year. And it was finally like I was able to finally see it so clearly, where I knew like this is gotta go. It's time to express something different than that. And luckily, I already had that idea. And for me, it's to create a breathwork certification program, something that I found to be the most powerful modality for healing and transformation and consciousness expansion, other than ayahuasca, almost comparable in a way to that, like on that level. And it's safe and it's helpful to pretty much anybody who's gone through it. And I've done it so many times. I've taken tens of thousands of people through it over the last 5 or 6 years, done groups of up to almost 4,000 people on Zoom I've had guiding through this experience. And I've always wanted to I've had this idea to teach it in my own way. And as I was able to kind of come to peace with this part of my business that was falling away, I was able to see, this is here. You've had this all along. And how nice does it feel to be able to pursue it? And that's what I'm doing now, big time. And I love it. So it was and also this new thing is a higher form of my soul's expression. It's more genuinely helpful to the collective than what I had been previously putting a lot of time and energy into. And it's just what is needed right now. And that then the journey kind of turned into that, showing me the planet is sick. Humanity is literally sick right now. It's dysfunctional. There's all this decay and no secret. And this thing I want to teach people how to take others through something that can really heal someone. It can take you literally into your ancestral trauma. It can take you into past life trauma residue. It can take you through the birth experience. It can take you into what's called the transpersonal realm of healing and transformation. It can help you shed layers of conditioning and release trauma and pain and angst that is just stuck in our nervous system and our conscious mind with all the thinking and contemplating, and this top-down approach just can't access. This breathwork can. And I'm going to be teaching people how to take others through that. And I just saw what a ripple effect that will create, and how it's exactly what's needed. It's something I know how to do and can teach well, at least I think, and is going to be super helpful right now. So it was just this beautiful clarity, basically. My purpose became crystal clear that night. And to kick off the last little bit that was kind of neat, there's a part of the third night that I always dread. It's the last part. It's the part that everyone looks forward to. It's the very end. And the medicine man, he'll stand up and he'll kind of pretend we're going to do something formal. Here's the north and he kind of makes a joke out of it. And they play some music and he's like, here's what I want you all to do. And then he starts to kind of dance. And then all the medicine people get up and dance, and we're encouraged to dance. And I don't like dancing. I'm not very good at it. But this time I danced. I felt comfortable dancing. And it was because that's how much more free I felt to be myself, free in my body. And just be dancing was just a real world example of something I literally could never do. Not that I was an amazing dancer necessarily, but I felt okay moving to the music. And it felt so liberating. So those are my 3 nights. And then beyond that, so many open loops in my life and business and things like that began just rearranging in a crazy way. I was able to completely restructure my business with very deeply enmeshed ties and roots with many people, and basically come into alignment with my new team of people that's going to birth this, I call it collective breath work, into the world. And it happened in a matter of 2 days, literally. And it wasn't easy. There was things to navigate and conversations to have and things to let go of. But in 2 days after this realignment, I felt like my whole life reorganized itself. And it reminds me of what the shaman said. He says, you come and you drink the medicine, and basically what it can do is it can kind of tune you like a guitar. if you're off tune, doesn't matter what you're playing, it's not going to be good. It's not going to feel right to you as a spirit, as the self. But ayahuasca can help like tune you. And then he says, when the guitar is tuned, it's tuned. You go off. You do your thing. And that's how it felt. I became tuned. Not that I'm perfect, not that it's done, but at least temporarily, I reached a new octave of being in tune, or a new level. And then from there, I looked at my entire life with completely new, fresh eyes, a higher perspective, and began making changes. And now I find myself like 2 weeks later in a completely different spot in my life, literally. It was a completely new mindset, a completely new marriage, a completely new relationship with myself. And I just want to share this because this is like what actually happened to me. This is not some inflated version of it. This is not romanticizing. This is literally what it did for me. And it can do this for other people in their own way. But it's not for everybody. And I'm not trying to sell you on ayahuasca, but I do want to express my experience with it in case other people have heard other, like, perspectives that don't resonate. This is just one more perspective to kind of run by yourself. Ayahuasca oftentimes will literally call to you. I know it sounds bizarre, but it will. It'll just start showing up in your videos and your emails and your ideas, and documentaries will come on and people will talk about it. You'll overhear them speaking about it. And you just get this sense that there's something there for you. And if that's the case, it's worth pursuing, I would say. And if you don't feel that, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're not able to do it, or it's not this hierarchy. It's different strokes for different folks kind of thing. But it's a powerful, special plant teacher energy consciousness that somehow has the ability to work with people on a deep soul level and bring about healing and positive upgrades for them and their life. And that is why we run these retreats. That is why I am making this video, because I believe in it. And even though this is not like a promotional video, if this is something you are drawn to, I'm going to leave a link down below, because we run 2 retreats per year, roughly 1 or 2 a year. And they're small and they're intimate. They take place in Costa Rica. And I'll probably time the releasing of this video with an upcoming one. If it's something you are drawn to, or at least want to learn more about, feel free. No pressure whatsoever. Not trying to sell it, but it is something we offer. And just to say real quick about the retreats, we do it in a way that we believe is like, can set the standard for safety, for integrity. And it's not been easy. It's not been an easy journey doing these retreats. We've had close friends we've had to like remove from the space. We've had to reorganize ourselves so many times. The medicine kind of keeps us in check. It's not something we do to make money. There's very little profit and a lot of work that goes into it, but the payoff is to be a part of it. That's why we do it. It's a special thing. Us and the medicine people are all drawn to create. And it's like the stars have temporarily aligned for us to do it in this really beautiful way, where everyone who comes feels cared for, everyone who comes feels safe, and it can be a truly great way to experience this powerful medicine, because it is powerful. Not all places do it this way. That's why we do it, and not just go drink ourselves somewhere else, because we saw a lot of things that we were not happy with that we see can be a problem. And our goal is to, again, do it in the most honest and integral, safest way for people. So anyway, just to kind of like, I feel confident boasting about that because it's true. So regardless, again, check it out if you'd like. If not, I'll see you in a spiritual awakening video. I'm sure it's coming up soon. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all. Peace.